The organization has generally not been transparent and open to critique, and it's unlike any other organization I have seen over the last 20 years.
Professor Rebecca Thiessen has been studying international development for over 2 decades. It's the field that looks at global development and how best to assist developing nations. The We charity is one of the biggest names in the sector, but Thiessen says the multi-million-dollar group doesn't talk with its professional colleagues, isn't getting feedback or critiques from others in the field, and doesn't answer questions about how it operates.
Unless we can begin to open up to these opportunities to learn from scholars and researchers and other practitioners, they're going to continue to make the same mistakes that they've been making.
Thiessen is part of a growing cohort of international development workers who are raising pointed questions about what We does. She says she's heard concerns about We for over a decade, but getting answers from the organization is nearly impossible.
I've reached out to the organization in the past asking very banal questions like, can you tell me how many students you've sent abroad on your volunteerism trips? Because I've been trying to track, we have no good numbers on this in Canada, how many young people actually go overseas for these kinds of learning opportunities, and getting no response.
I was never given any of that information. It was always like, oh, don't worry, like we are doing good work abroad. But when I tried to get more details about, well, let's provide that, like a transparent view of that work to students, there was always resistance around that.
Matthew Simone is a former staffer and worked for We when it was Free the Children. Before that, he spent a year in Uganda and Sierra Leone studying international development. As a school speaker, Simone says students and teachers would ask him questions on specifics of what the charity was doing, but he was never given clear answers by management. Simone worked on the first We Day and says the organization's focus has shifted over time to fundraising and boosting its corporate partners.
We is basically like conscious capitalism concerts. That's essentially kind of what this has become. And I know some people that are really uncomfortable with that. I know I was. That's not what I felt like I signed up for with the organization.
We asked Thiessen and Simone what changes they'd like to see as We restructures. Thiessen says she'd like to see We collaborate more with its partners in the international development sector, learning and exchanging information with researchers, academics, and partners from developing nations. While Simone says he'd like to see We stop taking on corporate partners unless those corporate partners commit to changing how they do business. City News reached out to We for comment on this story. In a statement, We says We charity engages within the international development community. Within Canada, we are also a proud and active member of the Ontario Council for International Cooperation and have been for many years. We adds that data is available in its annual transparency report and says it's open to answering research questions, but apologizes if academics haven't been able to get information in the past. On the topic of speakers receiving information, We says if there are participants who did not receive responses to their questions, we are more than happy to follow up with them. We are proud of our model, in which 90% of every dollar raised goes to programming, with 10% going to cover administration costs. We's response to our inquiries are available in their entirety on the City News website. In Ottawa, Xiaoli Li, City News.